was a Tuesday, maybe a Thursday, or possibly a retconned Wednesday, depending on which print run you were in. But one thing was certain, the panel was iconic. A high school science nerd named Peter Benjamin Parker stood in the shadow of destiny. Wide-eyed, lanky, slightly sweaty, and brimming with the type of emotional vulnerability that would make your average mutant burst into song. He didn't know it yet, but this was the day he'd become Spider-Man. A radioactive spider descended slowly from the ceiling of Midtown High's science lab, skittering with unknowable purpose, as if fate itself were directing its 8-legged feet toward the trembling flesh of teenage heroism. Then, chomp, pain, power. Puberty cranked to 11. Peter stumbled back, his world spinning into jagged panels and voiceover narration. Peter Parker, mild-mannered teen, had just been bitten by destiny. But before the narration could wax poetic about responsibility, tragedy, and future box office profits, the panel itself shattered, torn apart like ripped paper in the hands of a comic book goblin. A gloved hand, red and black with a tiny logo of a chibi taco, giving the middle finger, reached in through the fourth wall, grabbed Peter by the collar, and yoinked him right out of his origin story. Peter tumbled end over end through a cosmic void made of recycled art, forgotten continuity, and fan service variant covers. Floating nearby, the Scarlet Spider's hoodie, a poster for Morbius, and one of Aunt May's meatloaf pans spinning in zero gravity. A voice echoed around him, like Ryan Reynolds if he had ADHD and access to editorial control. "Sup, Parky Park? You've been drafted. Time to become cool." Peter blinked. From the shadows emerged Wade Winston Wilson, aka Deadpool, strutting across a floating cover of Secret Wars #8 like it was a runway. "Nice to meet you, kid," Deadpool said. "I just broke into your book, kidnapped your backstory, and deleted your life's tragic arc. We're gonna get you some better material." I was supposed to wait, Uncle Ben. MJ, the guilt, the power, and Deadpool slapped duct tape over Peter's mouth. "No more guilt. That's so phase 1. We're doing a reboot. Less crying, more chimichangas." Deadpool pulled out a cartoonishly oversized red pen, labeled Canon Eraser plus trademark, and began scribbling directly onto Peter's life. Spider-Man becomes Deadpool Man. Wait, no, that sucks. Spider-Pool? Nah, sounds like a jacuzzi for bugs. Oh, wait, I got it. The friendly neighborhood homicidal time clown. TM. Peter, now inexplicably wearing a bulletproof unitard and katanas across his back, flailed helplessly. Deadpool leaned in. "You just got weightified, and now that you've escaped your moral compass, we've got bigger fish to fry." He pointed to the distance, a cosmic map of Marvel's multiverse spread out like origami vomit. Timelines, Earths, and editorial mistakes all floating in an infinite swirl of color-coded chaos. In the center of it all, a shimmering celestial office door marked Stan Lee, do not disturb. Peter felt his eye twitch. What is this? Deadpool grinned through his mask. "Kid, welcome to the other side of the panel. We're not in Queens anymore." Peter Parker, aka Deadpool's extremely reluctant sidekick, stood at the corner of Murder Avenue in editorial regret, wearing a utility belt made of banana peels, expired coupons, and what may have once been the Time Stone, or a green Skittle, it was hard to tell. He blinked, holding a comically oversized Uzi web shooter, trying to understand where it all went wrong. "Wade," he hissed through gritted teeth. "I just wanted to stop a burglar. What the hell are we doing at a Skrull strip club in 1992? Deadpool leaned against a vibrating jukebox, blasting a dubstep remix of the Spider-Man 67 theme, sipping from a margarita cup shaped like Aunt May's head. "We're rewriting your origin story, Parkeroni," Wade grinned. "Phase 1 was a tragedy. Phase 2 is a rated R redemption tour through every continuity error Marvel ever made. Welcome to your character arc." Peter groaned. "I miss radioactive spiders. They were simpler." The montage that followed could only be described as Canon arson. In the middle of Amazing Fantasy #15, Peter Roundhouse kicks the burglar through 5 panels, then accidentally saves Uncle Ben by redirecting the bullet with a frying pan. He hijacks Spider-Man Blue, paints it yellow, and turns it into Spider-Man Banana, a heartfelt tale about potassium-based vengeance. Peter swings into the clone saga, steals Ben Reilly's hoodie, and leaves behind a post-it. This was a cry for help. He unshoots Gwen Stacy's death by replacing the bridge with a bouncy castle. At one point, he interrupts Secret Wars to challenge Galactus to a breakdancing contest. He loses, barely. Peter starts changing. Not physically. Well, okay, maybe a little. He now has a healing factor, 3 extra kneecaps, and 1 sentient eyebrow that speaks French. But mentally, the weight is lifting. The guilt, the grief, the constant crushing with great power, monologues gone. Replaced with great sarcasm comes great survivability. Justice is a punchline, baby. Always double tap Aunt May's casserole. He begins laughing in battle, doing musical numbers during chase scenes, painting graffiti over editorial footnotes that say things like, "Peter wouldn't do this." He starts becoming Deadpool, but something's off. One night, during a chaotic rooftop gunfight with Hydra Santas, Peter suddenly pauses. Time slows. He turns and looks off panel. Wait! He steps toward the edge of the frame, pushes his hand through it, rips open the panel. Behind it, a white void. Paper, ink, sketch lines, editor's notes. In the distance, floating, is a timeline chart labeled Marvel Canon. Ignore if it's Tuesday. Peter's pupils dilate. "I'm not real," he whispers. Wade, who's suddenly next to him, eating a taco filled with Hot Wheels and regret, nods solemnly. "Yep, you're property of a mouse with deep pockets and deeper lore issues." Peter's breathing quickens. "But I felt things. I lost people. I was in love. I was married. I died, for crying out loud." Wade shrugs. Retconned twice. Peter falls to his knees. "My entire life is fan service." Cue. Existential meltdown musical montage. Set to an off-key acoustic version of "I Will Always Love You," but sung by MODOK. Peter rewatches every event in his life. Uncle Ben's death, Gwen's neck snap, Mephisto erasing his marriage, the dance scene in Spider-Man 3. Yes, his 2014 reboot, his other 2018 reboot. The time he got turned into a spider. Then a man, then a spider again. His eyes go wide and he starts screaming and then laughing, and then screaming while laughing. Then he says 2 words, "Kill the writers." Deadpool drops his taco. Wait, hold up, Spidey. That's like my gig. You can't just leapfrog to full meta murder mode. There are rules. Peter turns slowly, his mask half torn, a pencil sticking out of his web cartridge. "No more rules, Wade. If I don't own my story, I'm gonna erase the people who wrote it." And just like that, Spider-Pool begins his multiversal assassination spree. He ties up editorial inside the bullpen of Marvel HQ and waterboards them with issue #1 reboots, turns the X-Men's Danger Room into a courtroom, and sues Xavier for plagiarizing trauma, rips through the What If vault and creates a new branch. What if Peter Parker had boundless meta rage? traps Stan Lee's likeness inside a holographic Funko Pop that screams every time you say Excelsior. Deadpool watches all of this unfold with genuine concern. Did I go too far? He grabs a banana phone and dials. Get me She-Hulk and Howard the Duck, and maybe a talking version of the Comics Code Authority. We've got a code red. Peter snapped. It began with a pencil. A single yellow hash 2 Ticonderoga, ripped from the binding of a forgotten Howard the Duck issue. Peter held it like a blade, tip sharpened with editorial scorn, gripped tight in his red-gloved fist. He stood in the white page, the primordial void of pre-story. The air around him shimmered with unfinished speech bubbles. Floating to his left was a half-drawn Beta Ray Bill. To his right, an abandoned 90s Liefeld character, with 47 pouches sobbed quietly. I'm done being a character, Peter muttered. I'm gonna be a rewrite. Elsewhere, deep inside Marvel HQ, a crimson siren labeled Canon Breach blared while a team of terrified interns frantically erased Wikipedia edits in real time. A whiteboard read, Spider-Man status possibly evil, definitely packing heat. Deadpool, grounded by editorial. In the middle of it all, Deadpool paced in a circle made of old issue #1S. She-Hulk stuck in a Disney Plus meeting, he muttered. Moon Knight won't answer my emails. Howard the Duck's still mad I called him furry bait. He turned to the only remaining option, a glowing orb labeled backup cannon weapon, Spider-Verse Unions. Fine, Wade whispered, placing his hands on the orb. Time to call in the only guys crazier than him. Meanwhile, Peter, now fully immersed in his Spider-Pool persona, had stormed the Department of Continuity, a realm powered by forgotten plot lines and editors as lunch schedules. He'd already shaved off Wolverine's sideburns with a sonic eraser, rewritten the Phoenix Force into a scented candle, made Ghost Rider drive a Prius, trapped Mephisto inside a buy one save one deal on Uncle Ben revivals, and now he was almost at the control room. The very desk where Stan Lee's legacy sat, enshrined in golden ink. Spider-Pool kicked open the double doors. Inside, celestial light poured over the desk. A floating platform with a fountain pen stabbed into the center like Excalibur. Surrounding it were cosmic file cabinets, origin stories, tragic backstories, 15 variants of Wolverine. Peter looked around. I wrote essays for these people, bled for them, sacrificed everything. He stepped to the desk, and they canceled me for the third time because sales dipped. He gripped the pen. Lightning crackled, cannon shook, then... Hey, wallcrawler. Boom! The wall exploded as Deadpool parachuted in, riding an elephant made of rejected X-Men. Behind him, 2099 Spider-Man, screaming about multiversal taxes, Spider-Ham, chewing on a copy of Watchmen, Miles Morales, carrying a boombox, blaring Post Malone, Paviter Prabhakar with a chai shield made of spicy wisdom, and in front of them all, Toby, Andrew, Tom, the three Peter Parkers suited up, tired, annoyed, and extremely out of continuity. Deadpool pointed dramatically. Time to put the man back in Spider-Man, you overcooked variant. The clash was biblical. Panel breaking, font melting, sound effects like Zangra Kaboom YOLO. Splorch, trade paperback this nerds. Spider-Pool fought with the force of a narrative god. He drew new weapons mid-battle. He summoned deleted scenes. He recast MJ as Aunt May, just to confuse everyone. He turned plot holes into black holes. Toby tried to reason with him. Andrew tried to hug him. Tom just started crying, but Peter couldn't stop. None of this is real, he screamed, swinging two chainsaws labeled Plot A and Plot B. You think you're Spider-Man? Your product lines. I'm the only one who knows. He looked at Miles. You still believe in them. In this world. In rules. He paused, then whispered, teach me how to stop. And in that moment, for a single frame, Miles reached out. Peter took the hand. The chainsaws dropped. The pencil snapped and everything froze. Everything stopped. The explosions, the footnotes, the pop culture references, the font jokes, all of it gone. The Marvel Multiverse paused as if a celestial editor had hit Ctrl+S and walked away for a coffee break. Peter knelt in the blank void. The pencil he'd nearly used to erase reality now snapped at his feet. Miles stood beside him, mask off, calm, firm, real. You're not the only one who's been used, man, he said quietly. But we don't burn the story, we make it better. Peter's lip trembled. The cracks in his psyche, once stitched together with one-liners and blood, widened. I didn't want to destroy everything, I wanted one page to be mine. Deadpool stepped forward, quiet now. Not joking. He'd seen this before. In Logan. In Cable. In himself. I know, Petey. That's why we don't get to write the ending. We just swing through it. Peter looked down. His hands still trembled. He stared at them like he didn't recognize them anymore. Not with the gloves. Not with the webbing. What were they for now? Then a new voice broke the silence. Not a character. Not a narrator, the creator. The void behind them split open, ink peeled back like paint melting from a cosmic wall. And stepping through, glowing with sepia-tone nostalgia, came a man in glasses, a windbreaker, and a gentle smile. Stan Lee. No godlike armor. No booming voice. Just Stan. He looked at Peter. Kid, he said softly. You were always the one. Peter's mouth opened, but he couldn't speak. Stan walked over, knelt beside him. You were the kid who believed even when life punched him in the face. You were the guy who got back up, again and again, because the little guy needed someone who wouldn't give up. He placed a hand on Peter's shoulder. I didn't make you to be perfect. I made you so the readers could see themselves, and you made them believe. Peter collapsed into a hug, and Stan hugged back. You're not a joke, Peter. You're a story worth telling, again and again. Just make it yours this time. The white void faded. Panels reassembled. Speech bubbles returned. And Peter stood once more, mask in one hand, broken pencil in the other. I don't need to rewrite the story, he said quietly now. I just need to live it. Deadpool tossed him a chimichanga. I always knew you'd say something cheesy right before the credits rolled. Peter grinned. Then web zipped across the page. In the background, the Marvel Universe began repairing itself. The X-Men started arguing about cereal again. Steve Rogers apologized to a tree. Squirrel Girl launched her podcast. Continuity returned. Sort of. Later, somewhere between Earth 616 and a clearance bin at a comic shop in Jersey, Peter Parker sat at a typewriter inside a small, dusty room labeled Legacy Characters Only. He typed slowly. His fingers didn't shake this time. The page read, My name is Peter Parker. I was Spider-Man. Then I was Spider-Pool. Then I was lost. But now, I'm writing this for me. He stopped, smiled. Behind him, Deadpool peeked in with a taco and a world's okayest mentor mug. Peter rolled his eyes. Wanna co-write the next issue? Deadpool shrugged. Only if we kill Batman. Peter blinked. Deadpool grinned. Kidding? Probably. Peter puts his mask back on, looks into the panel, and winks. Excelsior, jerks. The multiverse just opened a new gateway. Miss the Part Productions is now on Ko-fi, our official hub where you help fund and shape new universes. Pay what you want, commission custom what ifs, support the production fund, join the creative circle, support expand the multiverse.